Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I'm Peyton Squires, the host, and I got a question. What if losing everything became the launch pad for a multi-million-dollar comeback? Today on Behind Their Success, we reveal how Tom Dunkel, an entrepreneur, investor, and capital-raising powerhouse, turned financial rock bottom into unstoppable growth. Get ready for some real strategies and mindset shifts into doing so. Tom, welcome on Behind Their Success.
Peyton, it's great to be with you and all the listeners. Looking forward to our chat today.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. So give the listeners a kind of high-level story of like who Tom is, what he does, and a little bit kind of how he got there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, as you mentioned in the opening there, it's been anything but a straight line, from here to there. But I guess that's, pretty typical in the entrepreneurial journey. So, so I got out of business school in the mid 90s, had a great education, went into mergers and acquisitions in the aerospace industry. So I had a great foundation in finance and raising capital and putting deals together and, debt structures and private equity, so I really learned a lot from there and just was surrounded by really incredible people. So, I continue to draw from that experience just all these years later. Fast forward a little bit, I was doing my corporate thing. 2006, I ended up getting fired from my corporate job, which was a blessing in disguise because, I had the golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had the juicy salary as a VP of a public company. I had the stock options and all this great stuff. But, so it made it hard to know like when to leave because I knew I wanted to go do my own thing at some point. But, you got a wife and young kids at home. You got the golden handcuffs. It makes it really hard to know when to do that. So when that decision was made for me, I was like, okay, this is the signal. This is the sign I've been waiting for that I really do need to go out and start my own thing. So, thankfully I had, I had some cash and a little war chest to go out into the world and, stake my claim and build my fortune and my empire, et cetera. So, but this was 2006, Peyton. So I go into real estate 2006.
Yikes.
Yikes is right. So, I'm trying to learn how to be an entrepreneur. I'm trying to learn how to build a team, be a leader. I'm trying to learn the real estate business because up to that point, the only
everybody was cashing checks
done
really big time, right? In 06, right?
Yeah, exactly. The only real estate deal I had done to that point was buying my own personal home.
Sure.
So, I was trying to learn all these things all at once. And then, the market starts really moving against me. So that next thing I know, that little war chest of cash I had set aside, kind of went up in flames. And so, here I am and call it 2008, 2009, like just getting hammered from multiple directions and just trying to figure things out. Because to be perfectly honest, I had like the worst upbringing possible to become an entrepreneur. I figured this out later, but I had two loving parents. I was
ideal childhoods are
ideal
not
childhood, upper middle class. We weren't like super duper wealthy or anything, but we didn't, went on vacations and played golf and stuff like that. So, I didn't really have any adversity in my life.
You're not like the rest of us with massive traumas.
Exactly. And so what's funny, Payne, is along my journey, I've met so many people. They're like, oh yeah, I was a drug addict and I was living in my car and blah, blah, blah. Next thing, and now they're worth, 8 figures or something. So I realized like I had to really thicken up my skin and fast. Yeah. And, so I stayed determined to keep doing my own thing. I was not going to revert back and go back to the corporate life because I knew that just wasn't going to get me where I knew I wanted to go. And so it was about that time I found distressed mortgage debt. And so it seemed to match up really well with my interest in real estate and my experience in the financial markets. So I started buying distressed mortgages and had some early success. I found a partner, Joe Downs. We're still business partners to this day. And we built a company called U.S. Mortgage Resolution that's done At this point, over $63 million of revenue over the last, 15 years or so, which isn't too bad for, two guys and a couple of laptops and a couple of support people. So that business has allowed us to go and try out some other things. So we've we've tried and failed at hard money lending twice. We didn't learn our lesson the first time. We had to go and try it again.
Times, right? Yeah.
We were partners in a title company, and then one of the partners turned out to be cuckoo crazy, so we got out of that.
Been down that road yourself.
And then and then we found our way into the self-storage business. So we built a self-storage company. We bought about $55 million of self-storage assets from like 2019 to the current time. And, we've definitely learned some hard lessons there, because as the interest rates went running way up, which really cut off the residential real estate market, which subsequently, cut off a demand for self-storage. So that business, we had to learn some things the hard way too. But thankfully, we've got things, kind of headed in the right direction with that portfolio now. But and along the way too, we've played in the short-term rental business. So we have a small portfolio of short-term rentals that, initially were throwing off some really good cash flow in kind of the COVID, immediate post-COVID time frame. And now those have kind of come back to earth. So it's, it's everything sort of has its timing.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, everything kind of has its timing and its cycle and this and that. But, I wouldn't change anything for the world. With all the failures, definitely had some outsized success. So in a good spot now where I've kind of transitioned out of our self-storage business. I was the chief investment officer there for 5 years. And my newest venture is looking for deals for myself to invest in. And I figure, well, I've developed this network of trusted partners, trusted operators in various asset classes, multifamily apartments, self-storage, of course, mobile home parks, private lending, things like that. So I'm looking to place my capital in those types of opportunities. I figure, well, why not bring along these investors who I've worked with over the years and bring them into these deals as well. And then I can go to my operator partners and say, hey, I'm not bringing you a check for 50 or 100,000. I'm going to bring you a check for $1 million, let's say. So would you mind giving me, instead of a 7 pref and a 70-30 split, can we do an 8 pref and an 80-20 split? And they'll say, sure, because as an operator, like, they want to focus on operating and finding deals and operating those deals. They're, for a lot of them, raising capital is challenging and kind of it takes their eye off the ball, right? So I'm doing them a service, and I'm doing my investors a service. So of course, I create a little spread in the middle there for the good guy, and
for the good guy putting the deal. Well, I mean, you're putting it together, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but the investors actually end up making out better economically going through me to get to that deal than going
you can negotiate it, right,
to the operator directly. That's exactly right. So that's my long-winded background.
Yeah, that's cool, Tom. That's awesome. I think it's really interesting. You made the comment about having, I would call it a quote unquote normal-ish childhood, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's true when you say that, almost in entrepreneurship, that's kind of a disadvantage, really. Like, because I'm in several different business groups, and like, the more and more successful entrepreneurs I meet, I'm like, we're all just messed up.
Yeah. Sure.
By that, I mean, just like, we had some dramatic things happen. And now good entrepreneurs have healed that or worked through that and whatever, and have harnessed that. But it really is like that, that drives a whole lot of entrepreneurs to go.
Harness it and use it for fuel, right? Like Dan Martell, he was a very popular guy out there. Like, he talks very openly about his ADHD, and he was in jail as a kid, and then so he found entrepreneurship as a way to kind of channel that energy in a good way. So
yeah, 100%, and that's definitely the game. If you really learn and jump into the game of entrepreneurship and treat it like a game. I was talking to my 9-year-old daughter last night of just like, hey, honey, Daddy really likes to play the game of business, right? And trying to associate that with her so she can understand, but like, oh, he's playing a game and he's trying to get good at it.
Right.
Which is
Right.
which is a really neat conversation. But side note, but take us to that 08, 09. I knew when you said I was going into real estate in 06, and you said yikes immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us what kind of I mean, that had to be dramatic for you, right? Like,
Sure.
what kind of mindset shifts, or how'd you climb out of that hole?
Yeah. Good question. It was definitely a hole. It was definitely like a reality check because, here I am, like to that point, right? I had great education, great corporate background, surrounded by these amazing people who were, making themselves very, very, very wealthy along their path. And so I figured, this is going to be, it's going to be a piece of cake,
Straight
right?
up.
I've got the MBA, I've got the experience, just put me out into anything. I'll do great,
Yeah.
But like I said, it was really, it was a real challenge to kind of sit there and realize, like, I don't have these skills that I need to be successful in this world. So, when you're in business and you're doing that thing, like, you have one set of mentors, right? You do the textbooks and you're learning all that stuff. But what I found was that in entrepreneurial life, like, I needed a whole new set of mentors and people to look up to. So it was around about that time, like, I started listening to Darren Hardy and Jim Rohn.
I saw that book over your shoulder there.
Yeah.
Not How.
That's right. And then, and then reading all the books, right? So I read a ton of books and just to kind of make that shift. And I started going to the real estate investor here locally. And then I started, traveling to go to the real good ones and just kind of scraping things together as best I could. Thankfully my wife was working, so we were able to at least keep the lights on, but it wasn't, it wasn't sustainable. And so, it was just finding those people, those voices that really resonated with me. And even locally, like, I had some guys I ended up meeting up with on a regular basis who, everyone got smoked, right? So we were all in the same boat, like, trying to figure out what was next. And so I feel like it was, surrounding myself with people who were like, man, this sucks, but there's this opportunity out there, and there's that, and this and that. And so it was good being around those kinds of people who were, still looking forward and grinding, and they weren't giving up. Like, I had a friend of mine, Greg, and he did kind of had the same path as me, except he was like a tech guy, and he came out of the tech world. And he's like, I'm never going back to that. I got to figure something out. Yeah. And so I think, just being around those people and just, listening to those positive voices, and, because everyone goes through something. I mean, if you're around long enough, right, you're going to go through something. There's 100% chance that you're going to get smacked in the face, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the entry fee, a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it just comes with the territory. Like,
totally,
there's going to be days you just get punched in the mouth, and that is what it is. Metaphorically speaking, right? But
yeah.
It's never going to be that straight arrow. And I love you talk about reading and podcasts and mentorship and whatever. Yeah. And the awesome thing, very similar path. I started my business in like 2014, but I would say it still even took me a couple of years to even dive into maybe the entrepreneurship and self-development kind of world. The awesome thing about today is, like, it's all, like, free on the internet, or, like, an Audible book cost a couple bucks, or, like, the information is very accessible. You can get access to these crazy mentors, right, through books and speeches and YouTube, and it's all free on the internet. And it's
that's right.
I credit people like early days of, like, Jim Rohn, who's a very motivated. I love Jim Rohn. I I used to just listen to his YouTube video. I mean, the guy's been dead for 20 years, but, like, listen to YouTube videos, and you just sit there and do that all day long, and it's going to help change your mindset.
Totally.
Understand the world a little bit better, in my opinion.
And I ended up paying with an iPod, not to date myself too badly, but I had an iPod that was full of all these great, like, books and interviews and stuff. I got it from when I was in the Darren Hardy community.
Yeah.
And so, I'd be
Aaron's
out,
great.
I'd be out walking, I'd be at the gym, I'd be, and so I'm just stuffing my brain through my ears, with all this great information and these great insights and these interviews with these entrepreneurs and all the crap that they went through and what they did to get out of it and all that. So yeah, for sure. It's the information's out there. You just got to go grab it.
You got to want that and do that. And it's not like, listen to a book, it's going to change your life. I mean, I would tell you there's probably one paragraph in every book that like certainly does have the value to change your life, right? Like I read a book and I'm looking for like 2 golden nuggets out of it, right? And
that's right.
It's amazing. I figured that out, I guess, somewhat early enough in my life to where it's like the first time I can remember that happening to me, I was reading The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss, very book a little while back. But the concept of like, okay, if you only had 4 hours of work, what would you do? And just the concept, and then all the tactical things he had in there, like 5 things in there that probably definitely made me 6 figures over the next couple of years. By reading, and grabbing information out of that book. And I guess I want people to realize that.
Yeah. No, I think what's important too about books and information, all that stuff, it's like, it can be extremely overwhelming, right?
Oh yeah.
So what I encourage people to do is find a voice that really resonates with you and go deep with that. Right.
Yeah.
So like Who Not How, Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, right? I've read all their, I'm going deep with all of their books.
Yeah.
In fact, just this morning I downloaded his new one,
Scaling.
Yeah.
I literally listened to that entire book on the plane yesterday.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool. Yeah. So a lot of people go like super wide, right? You go mile wide and inch deep. I think it's important. Like if you find someone that really resonates with you, just go deep with them and a handful of others and just spend a lot of time there, because you can spend your whole life, just
bouncing around.
All these different books.
And that's an issue for a lot of people too, where they, maybe there's fear and whatnot, and then they just sit here and listen to this stuff all the time, and they're really just sitting there taking in information but never actually implementing or doing anything with it, just out of fear or whatever that is. And I do love the advice too of going deep into somebody. And actually, this is totally a coincidence, but I told my business group earlier this year that I was going to go deep into Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan stuff. And I've read, 3 main books, like 5 times a piece this year.
Exactly.
And just over and over and deep. And like, their stuff is amazing. Yeah. Dan Sullivan is, Ben Hardy. The Science of Scaling book he just came out with was amazing. I was taking notes the entire time on my 10-hour flight from Brazil.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. There you go. That's a great way to use your time when you're trapped on a plane.
You can't do anything else, right? Like you really don't even have internet service. You can't do anything but sit there and
That's right.
I love downloading books and podcasts and
get those books going. Get your journal out as those ideas hit you as you're reading, and just
it's amazing practice to lean into. And people, like today's world is so easy. It's like you got car time, you got what I mean. There's lots of ways to fit this information into your life, like
absolutely
without having to change a bunch of stuff.
Yep, that's I think when Darren Hardy says when your hands are busy but your mind is free, put some good information in your head,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like if you're at the gym or you're out walking or whatever, you're busy doing something, you can always have.
Yeah, what I would tell you is, another reason why you should go deep into somebody is that a lot of these things are the same principles just being talked about by different people. And that's why you should find somebody that you connect with and what I mean, that you really enjoy with us, with, Ben Hardy.
That's right.
And you can listen to that stuff over and over again, because like you really need to be reminded of this stuff constantly. It's not like, oh, you learn it and you know it. It's these constant soaking this stuff in. So that you can recall it and it comes to mind as these situations come up and the whole bottom falls out.
That's right.
It's important to just soak in that stuff.
And every time you listen to it or read it again, you're going to be in a different place. So you'll probably perceive things and hear things differently, or read things differently than your first or second, than last time you read it. Right. Yeah. So I think some people are like, why would you read the book, multiple times? Like, well, if you read it,
I'm not the same person.
you're right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, seriously, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're changing, you're running different challenges or successes along the way. And and so, yeah, you hear things differently as you kind of move forward.
are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high-level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. And when tax planning is done right, it has a positive return on investment. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of Squires Tax Planning. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't told you about. If that interests you, head over to squirestaxplanning.com. There you can take our free assessment to see how likely it is that you are overpaying on your income taxes. From there, you can also book a free tax discovery call with our team to see what it would look like to have us working for you. Yeah, real estate's obviously your expertise, right? So, like, how do you go about, like, identifying opportunities, or, what is your business model there? Like, what do you do?
Sure. Yeah. So, great question. So over the years, I've definitely made some investments that I think, worked out well, and I've made some that didn't work out so well, right?
Yep.
So over the years and learning from those mistakes, I've actually developed a system a due diligence system for investors who are looking at getting into alternative investments. It can actually work for any investment, but we actually call it the SAFE investing method. So SAFE is an acronym, so don't say, "Oh, Dunkel said investing was safe." Plenty of risk, but if you use the SAFE method, you can de-risk these deals and ask the right questions so you can get into them. So
what is it? Warren Buffett says it's only risky if you don't know what you're doing.
That's right. Yes.
That's why you get into business, because you get into it, you study it, and it's like, okay, this isn't risky because I have a lot more information than other people.
It's so funny when I'm on stage and I present this, I actually have a slide that's from that quote from Warren Buffett. But just real quick, the SAFE method is it's S.A.F.E, an acronym. So S stands for sponsor. So who is this dude you're doing business with, right? You need to learn as much as you can about them. What's their background? What's their track record? Find out about their team, and do you click with them, right? Have them talk about their successes, their failures, things they've learned, that sort of thing. Go deep with them. And for God's sake, Google them and find out, like, maybe there's something in their past that maybe they didn't bring up. So if I had done that, this is early on. This is pretty early on in my entrepreneurial career, because I did invest with others at the time and I started making some money. I lost $50,000 because I didn't Google the guy's name. If I had Googled the guy's name, I would have seen that he was a con artist and he rips people off. So there you go. That is the price of admission, right? You got your money's worth for listening today. Google your sponsor's name, right?
And as silly as that sounds,
I know, right? In my defense, this was 14, 15 years ago, before Googling was like the first thing that comes to mind, right? So, okay. So A stands for asset. What is the asset that you're actually investing in? Is it an apartment building? And what market is it in? What are the dynamics of that market? Is it a growing market? Is it a shrinking market? There are infrastructure investments being made there. Are the big investments coming in from like tech companies and all this? So you want to understand the asset you're investing in, which, it sounds very elementary, and it is, but a lot of people, you'd be surprised, like they're investing in crazy stuff and they can't explain it to their kid. You can't explain it to your 9-year-old or, their grandmother or whatever. So maybe you want to second guess it if you can't really explain it to a friend.
You should never, as a guy that works in the tax and wealth space, I tell people all the time, you should never invest in anything you don't understand.
That's right. And then F is stands for financials. So are the financial projections reasonable? Has the sponsor delivered on these kinds of projections in the past? What are the ratios? I'm a financial analyst by training, so I can get a little nerdy with it. But, you look at the different financial ratios, your net operating income and all that good stuff. And then you want to know the tax implications of the deal. And, are the projections reasonable? Are they projecting, 50% rent increases? It's like, how are you going to do that? I don't care how good an operator you are.
Yeah. Another warning to people, like they can put what they want on there. So you need a question.
That's right. Yeah. And you need to be able to ask these questions. And if they're good, they will have done a sensitivity analysis where they say, oh, well, if the rents only go up by this much, you're still going to get this, X return. And if you're okay with like that downside scenario, then it's a deal that maybe you want to move forward with. Lastly, Payne is E is for exit. How do you get out of this thing, right? You can't go to schwab.com and click and sell your interest in like a multifamily syndication. Yeah. It just doesn't work that way. So you need to, as an investor, know that going in, that your money is going to be tied up for whatever, 3 years, 5 years. Some deals are 10 years, especially if it's like a development kind of deal. Other deals might only be 1 year. So you just have to go in understanding like how long is your money going to be tied up and what needs to happen for you to get your money back and your return. Are they going to refi the property? Are they selling the property? Is it a 1031? All that stuff.
I love your acronym there, the S.A.F.E acronym, right? Like, and I think the important thing there, the thing is like you have a process, right? You have a process to evaluate real estate deals. And even people like, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett and like the greatest investors of all time, they develop a literal checklist of questions to ask themselves or evaluate an investment. And these guys are the best of all time, right?
Sure.
We don't even need a checklist. No. They know you need a checklist, right? Because the amazing thing is when you start evaluating an investment, people will, they get their emotions tied into it. They fall in love with it. It's like, okay, I want to do this, right? And it's amazing what all you'll overlook, like maybe not Googling the guy's name because, you're excited and you just want to jump in and get going, right?
Sure. Yeah. And that's, and just back to the beginning, S for sponsor, like a lot of people are like, oh, well, my buddy invested with him, or I met him and he's a cool guy, or, he's an Eagles fan too, and so you got to go deeper than that. And because, and I know some people might hesitate. They're like, well, I don't want to ask these personal questions where, well, if you're putting up 50 or 100 grand or, whatever it is
with them.
You're going into business with them. Exactly. That gives you the right to ask those questions, and, you can run background checks if you want. So, anyway, I wouldn't hesitate, to ask those questions.
And, and the interesting thing is, and, I have clients that I come in and be the bad guy for them too, though. So it's like, let me, I'll come in and like, because I'm separated, I'll come in and just, like, try to poke holes in everything. Right? So, that's one good thing about having some professionals.
Absolutely. You can say, wow, my accountant told me I got to ask you these questions.
Yeah. People throw me under the bus all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
But it's, man, and I've been in business long enough and dealing with, real estate investors and whatnot. Like, I've seen these things go bad, and I've seen them go really bad. And a lot of the times it is, operator issues and maybe even things in their own personal life that's over into everything else. And that's not abnormal at all.
No, it's not. It's not. So ask tons of questions. And here's the thing too, Payton, like, if you're an investor and you're asking questions of the sponsor, you're looking at the asset, you're looking at the financials, you're looking at the exit. If any of those things at any time in your process, something doesn't feel right, doesn't smell right, whatever, just stop. Because you know what? There's plenty of other deals out there. You don't have to feel like, oh my God, I got to jump on this deal or I'm going to miss it. Don't ever feel that way. There's always going to be another deal.
There's plenty of operators out there sending out pitch decks trying to raise money. So don't feel like you have to move fast. I get 5 of them a week in my email.
I'm sure. Yep.
So turning back to you a little bit more, Tom, like you talk about mastermind groups and the communities and stuff like that. Can you speak to the importance of that in your journey and being around, great people like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you get a great return on your investment. I think at this point in my career, I've probably spent 300 grand on different mastermind groups and going to conferences and the travel and the this and the that. But I tell you what, it's really helped me grow my business, helped me be a better investor. It's helped me be a better steward of other people's money. And it's given me the opportunity to meet these operators so that through Eagle Capital Investments, which is my investment company, I can find these operators. So I've come to know, like, and trust, and I've met them in person because I'm going to these events and these masterminds and these conferences and such. So if it wasn't for those different groups, those different channels, then you're just out there flailing around by yourself. And that's not a good recipe for success. You want to surround yourself with the right people and get the information. Because that's where I hear about these great books, or, hey, you got to go to this conference, or, hey, this podcast, or whatever, that you hear about it from your comrades who are out there, banging around, trying to figure things out as well. So it's hugely, hugely valuable for sure.
Yeah, totally my experience. I've spent a lot of money, I'll tell you that, in the last 5 years for sure. And in self-development and groups and business groups. And I couldn't, a massive return on all that, right? Yes. And that's part of it. It's like, you got to realize that it's almost like tuition,
that's right,
to a school or whatnot. And I love, I don't know if you know Alex Morosi, but I love the way he puts it.
Sure.
We all have a bunch of ignorance debt, right?
right.
It costs you $1 million a year to not know how to make $1 million a year, right?
Right.
And by, you either learn that through time and experience, or you can buy it from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I wanted to spend all my money as fast as possible to buy the experience from people around me to get there as fast as possible. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to shift your mindset a little bit of understanding that it's literally an investment, right? That you're hoping to get a return of, right? A return of value. Obviously, you need to get around the right people, and the people that are probably, maybe even, maybe make you a little uncomfortable, that maybe are even a few steps ahead of you. So that's been my best return on investment, is going into groups where the people actually made me uncomfortable, where I'm like, why am I in this room, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
that will stretch you and move you the quickest, in my experience.
Yeah, 100%. I guess our mutual buddy Jim Rohn says, if you're the smartest person in your circle of friends, you're in the wrong
bigger,
better friends.
And it's, Ben Hardy talks about the same stuff, where it's just like, I think it's one of his first books, the Willpower Doesn't Work, I think. The whole thing talks about how you're completely shaped by your environment, and way more than any human being will ever believe about themselves, right? Like, you can't. That's right. You can't separate a human from the context they're living in. Like, you're sure. Literally in the same. And the empowering thing is like, you can, while you're infected dramatically about your environment, you can consciously change things in your environment that will naturally change it. And then joining a mastermind group is a perfect example of that, right? Like, if all your friends don't care about business or anything like that, well, you're going to be a lot more like them if you get around a bunch of entrepreneurs, where you're naturally going to start fitting in over there. And it's just realizing that taking control of your environment is a very powerful thing to do. And even as simple as redesigning your environment, from decorations to whatnot, people really understand how powerful that can be.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You're trying to lose weight, get the cookies out of the pantry and throw them in the trash.
Yeah, it's the same things. Like, you'll hear people that they'll make the tiniest change in their environment. It's like, okay, I'm not saying I can't have cookies, right? I'm not banning cookies from my life, but I can't have them at home. Right. And so nothing, you don't have a rule that you can't eat cookies. You just got to drive down the street to go get them. And guess what? You're not going to do that, right?
That's right.
You put a little friction in between, right? Where it's just more inconvenient to actually go do it than it is to not. Right. So it's thinking through things like that. It's like, we are so not rational human beings.
That's right.
We are, that we need to set up our environment that just defaults us into doing the things we want to do.
That's right. That's right.
Otherwise, you're going to eat the cookie that's there.
You roll out of bed. First thing you do, put on your gym clothes. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, and it's just designing it in a way that like your default, like the easiest thing to do is actually the activity, you've consciously chosen, right?
That's right.
Yeah, getting deep into that for sure.
Yeah. Well, no, it's spot on. It makes a huge difference. And I don't know, maybe I took it to an extreme, but I actually got divorced because I felt like my wife, who we were married for a long time, but I felt like she was. And
you guys weren't going down the same path, right?
Sorry, like I said, this might be a little extreme, but yeah, I felt like I was growing, I was learning, I was reading the books, I was going and doing things, and she was not, and she was not supportive of it. She was not pushing me, So sadly, we ended up growing apart, and I, for my own good, for my own growth, for my own potential, I had to make the hard decision to leave that relationship. And so I'm married again to a woman who does lift me up. We lift each other up. We want to grow together. We're doing this business, Eagle Capital Investments. We're doing it together. And so we're making a lifestyle business for us to grow and learn and push and go to the events and learn from the people. And so we're super excited about it. It's been great, and we're looking forward to we've got some pretty lofty goals, so we're looking forward to achieving them together.
Yeah, and then that's awesome. And I'm in a mastermind group. What I really love about it is that it isn't just business focused. It is family and marriage and everything, because knowing that like those things don't live in silos, right? Like they all, like you don't have your family life and then your business and like act like those don't affect each other, right?
That's right.
Thank you, for being vulnerable and sharing that. It's people do grow apart, right? Because, and by that is, you guys had very different visions of what your future was, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously we all get married, generally all get married when we're young, and like obviously we have no idea what we want, or you know what I mean? It's amazing we get married.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
You have no idea even who you are, right?
Yeah.
And let alone like, how are these two people going to live the rest of their life?
Right.
And I'm lucky enough to have a wife that we got married both young, and but what we do have in common is that we both want to get better, right? And that is, we share that vision, and we share that vision of just growth and development, and especially being examples for our kids that
awesome.
maybe that we didn't necessarily, I'm not trashing our parents, but like we didn't we always have, right?
Sure.
And so I think it's very important that like, in serious, like in our mastermind group, we're just like, the ultimate mastermind is your marriage, right? Like that is your closest relationship. And
that's right.
Good luck growing a business if the other spouse doesn't want any part of it. It's like fighting this with both hands tied behind your back. You're really not going to win if that's that's
Jennifer and I, we did a weekend kind of retreat. We did a vivid vision retreat. If you're familiar with Cameron Herold and the whole vivid vision idea. And so we basically sat for 2 days and just like on paper, on like the big easel, the big.
What do we want? Yeah.
What do we want? What does we want it to look like? What do we want our health to be like? What do we want our family dynamic to be like? What do we want our business life to be like? What how much golf do we want to play? How much all these kinds of things. So that was like my ex-wife would have looked at me like I was crazy if I had suggested we do something like that. So so it's been great.
And the amazing thing is, we nerd out on exactly the same stuff. Like we went to, our group went to Con. I went to the Dominican, and we had our whole families down there on a resort, so everybody brought everything. The kids were doing like entrepreneur activities all week, and like doing stuff. And then also it's me and my wife sitting there talking about like we literally spent a bunch of time talking about like who's responsible for what chores in the household, and literally all that to do is like somebody needs to own it, and it's just very clear about that, right?
Yes.
And it's not like, okay, my wife owns the laundry so I don't have to do it. It's like, okay, ultimately the buck stops with her. Not that I can't help it, whatever, but it's those types of things. And it's just getting clear around all that stuff and the communication around all that stuff. So everybody's on the same page. It's amazing how many less problems you have. And here's the thing. We even got into, intimacy and scheduling that. So
right. Hey.
I'm not, a lot of people that freaks out. And I'm not telling you to do that, but the people that do it say it's a good idea.
I agree. It's important. You gotta lay it all out on the table.
100%. So, question for you, Tom. What does like true wealth and freedom mean to you?
Wealth and freedom is it's a tool for me to just live my best life and keep growing and keep challenging and keep making mistakes and keep learning. I don't think it's like it's not a static kind of thing, right? I mean, plenty of people have had wealth and lost it because, they took their eye off the ball or what have you. So, and then, the freedom that provides, it allows me to be the husband that I want to be and the dad that I want to be and the friend that I want to be and the golfer that I want to be. And the musician, I'm actually a musician too. So, allows me to do those things. And on top of that, it's not just about me. And this is one thing I tell young entrepreneurs, because a lot of entrepreneurs are like, oh, I need to find out what my why is. What's my why? Oh, well, my why is my family. It's like, of course your why is your family. But if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to think a lot bigger than your family, because yes, you want to bless your family. You want to provide for your family, but you need to be providing and blessing others as well. So I've started scholarships. I've built houses in Mexico. I support those missionaries financially. And then I've been doing some mentoring of college kids who are, in business and they're interested in entrepreneurship. And so, at this point in my career, Peyton, like I got a lot of stuff up here that I need to get out and get out to other people so that they can get further faster, because it's not like me giving them that takes anything away from me or anybody else. Right. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's me being able to, hopefully help someone avoid the dumb mistakes that I made along the way, get further faster so that they can go and they can bless others. And
that's the whole story of like human evolution, right? Like the whole point is the next generation can go further and faster than you, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like we have mentors like Jim Rohn and all these guys on the internet. Well, like Jim Rohn didn't have Jim Rohn. Right? And the further we push the ball, well, our kids and the next generation or whoever gets to start there and push it further, right? Mm-hmm. Some people like to complain about the younger generation coming up and like they did all this so fast or whatever, but it's like that's the whole point. That is literally the point, right?
Right.
Yeah. And literally, and like I love you talk about, you got to have a bigger vision yourself, 100%. Like, you and your family, yes, you take care of you and your family, but you start to actually grow something of some size and you have some success, like that becomes monetary alone becomes a whole lot less motivating, as there's people listening and will say, oh, well, easy for you to say that. Like it's literally everybody that has done it will say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, you're going to find this ultimate happy spot because you've made $1 million or $2 million or whatever you think that number is. It's not true. There is no magic number. It's really an eternal thing. And you got to find something that's bigger than you, that really brings emotion to you, that you're passionate about, some problem that you want to help solve. Now, it could be something in your business, or like you said, it could be you have this amazing business and makes a bunch of money, and then you do something else with it. Like, I don't know, maybe single mothers is a passion of yours or whatever that is. It's finding that passion, and you find that will really fuel you to get after it and
that's right.
Value and help people.
100%. Yep. So it's about significance. You want to get to success for sure, but then beyond success is significance. So you can.
Yeah. 100%. Well, Tom, I appreciate it. This has been a great conversation. What's the best way people can get to know more about you, your company, and just kind of everything you do?
Sure. Yeah, Peyton, this has been great, buddy. It's a lot of fun. So I'm Tom Dunkel. I'm the managing principal at Eagle Capital Investments. You can find me at investwitheagle.com, where you can pick up a copy of my book. It's the Wealth Builders Playbook. And it's got some stories in there about, my successes and failures. And it talks in depth about the S.A.F.E method, which we talked about earlier. And it just talks about, how you can unshackle yourself from your golden handcuffs. And, it always happens, Peyton, right? There's always some disruption. In the early 2000s, it was the internet, right? And now, it's crypto and it's blockchain and of course, artificial intelligence. Well, all of those things can disrupt your career, right? So if you're a high achiever, high performer, whatever your things are going great for you right now, there's going to be a disruption that's going to mess with your life. And so what I try to help people do is build passive channels for wealth and income so that when those disruptions come along, they can weather the storm in style because all their wealth and their income is not tied up just in their business or in their practice or in their hefty W-2 job. Yeah. So you gotta have these other income and wealth streams to 100% balance that out. So that's what I'm all about. And so go to investwitheagle.com, grab my book, and I'd love to talk to you.
That's awesome, Tom. Any parting words of advice?
Just go for it. Get yourself around the right people, find a great niche to go after, and then just get educated, go deep.
That's awesome, Tom. Appreciate you. Listeners, we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.